Panic Button. I'm Nina.
I'm a Nina. She's not Nina. I'm Nina.
So today, I wanted to talk about the last video that we released, which was the girl who had slept with 100 guys in a day.
Yeah.
There was a thread on Twitter with Constantine Kiss and Julie Bindel and Sal Grover, and they were having a discussion about it. And I found it really interesting, and then we were having a debate about it, and I'm like, let's record. So Julie Bindel said, any man involved in the torture of this woman should be locked up. Constantine Kissin said,
modern feminism. Women must be free to make their own decisions, and if they make bad decisions, the responsibility is on, checks notes, men.
So then I go to Sal Grover's comment. 100 men turned up. That's worth talking about. Without those 100 men, she's just an incredibly troubled woman sitting in a room by herself. 80 men turned up to Giselle a week, drugged, consent, no consent. We have to be able to talk about everything that is happening. Constantine said,
so an attractive, famous, high-status woman offers random men on the internet to apply to have sex with her to help her get more famous and make more money, and it's their fault? Riddle me this. If a billionaire playboy offered random women on the internet to come to his house and sleep with him for a fee, and then did a video crying about the impact having sex with 100 women who were just there for the money, would you be blaming the women? I doubt it. Freedom comes with responsibility, which is something modern feminism is determined to conceal from young women to their detriment.
Then Sal says, if a man did this and looked visibly soulless afterwards, I would be very empathetic. And all it would further prove is that whatever is happening here is not a warranted part of the human experience. This is why talking about every aspect of what is happening is super important.
You must feel that same empathy. Oh, he's got long ones. You must feel the same empathy.
I did it twice.
I'll do it. I gotta let me fucking do this. You must feel that same empathy for the 100 poor men who are so lost and lonely that they would turn up for the chance to have 3 minutes of sex with a woman who doesn't love them along 99 other desperate losers. I can feel compassion just oozing out of every feminist on the internet. It is extremely fucked up, and if it was my daughter, I would be horrified by her behavior. It would not occur to me for a minute to blame anyone but her. Oh, sweetheart, you put your naked body on the internet and offered random men to have sex with it, and 100 of them turned up. No way. That is not remotely the conversation I'd be having with my daughter.
Sal says, I feel disgust that they turned up, and I'd feel disgust if 100 women turned up for a man. These are not mutually exclusive. It is the act that is disgusting. But it is not worth asking the question. Is it right that 100 men turned up? Can we not ponder it? At what point are some men being as defensive as some women? Like, let's just be objective. I wanted to start with, who do you think is right, wrong? Are they both wrong? Are they both kind of right? What do you think?
I think it's obvious that it should be discussed. The situation that we are in now, where women are offering themselves up like that, it should also be discussed that men are showing up like that for it. I don't think that it's one person's fault or another person's fault. I don't think you should be blaming men or women for this. You should be evaluating the sexual culture of today.
Yeah, why it's happening. Why were there participants involved at all? Why was this a thing?
But you also asked me something upstairs that I thought was interesting. Is it more the men or the women, you asked?
Mm-hmm.
And I would say it's hard to find 100 women who would put themselves up for that kind of situation.
Right.
But clearly she found 100 men.
Right. Because men and women are different.
Yes.
Men are more led by their sex drives, and women aren't. Although it's almost like
women can be.
Mainstream is trying to convince women that it's okay to be led by your sex drive. And I think that's giving them a false impression of how their sex drive actually works. I think they want to be more sexualized than they actually really are because it's more normalized now. So they probably...
I don't think they want to be necessarily. I think there are women who have been taught that they can take advantage of this, but...
And that they won't feel anything about it.
There's a line, and that's what I told you upstairs, that this video, if you don't take it as, oh, it's a man's fault, oh, it's a woman's fault, if you just take it as a scientific experiment, you realize the end meaning of this video is that sex is different for men than women. It's different for a woman to have sex with 100 guys than it is for a man to have sex with 100 women.
Yes, and then I asked you, which I'm asking you now, in general, how many men within our population would actually do that if they had the opportunity?
And this is my point. You try and find 100 women to do it.
I wouldn't be able to.
try and find 100 men.
I probably could.
In your own state.
In my own county. In my own city.
Exactly. And so that's the problem is men are so eager to get in and get out that if you give them a chance, they'll take it. And I was saying this upstairs, 90% of those men probably had girlfriends and were probably cheating in a relationship where they weren't sexually satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that they weren't, like, happy or whatever. They
and
might
the
be
other
happy,
ones I
but
think were desperate.
Or, like, just, like, they were like, hey, I get a chance to fuck someone. That's it. I mean, that's really all it takes sometimes. And you asked if it's an integrity thing. Some people don't care.
Right, but in the 1950s, you'd be hard-pressed to find 100 men who would do that, right? Because it wasn't normalized. But now...
I beg to argue that you still could have found 100 men to do it. It just wouldn't have been as
easy?
Sensationalized. It wouldn't have been something to brag about. It wouldn't be
I wouldn't think it would have been as easy because that was completely shamed back then.
And it's also not like the method of finding 100 men was more drastic than finding it now. Now you go online, you can find, like, if I downloaded any dating app and put myself down the street, and I've said this a million times, I could have dates. I could have at least 3 dates if I went on a dating app and said, hey, I'm straight. Mm-hmm. But because I'm gay, it's way harder.
Now, do you think it's because men are desperate or because men are more led by their sex drives than their self-control and integrity?
No, this is going to be...
morality.
This is going to be something... I think it's half to blame on men, half to blame on women for this.
Mm-hmm.
I think women are holding out for what they assume to be a better guy when they could have a very nice guy who's making a moderate amount. And so those guys are, yes, lonely, horny, sad. And so they're willing to ask out women like crazy. And then there's also the desperate ones who just want to, like, finally have sex. And so they will also be desperate. But then, like I said, women nowadays, you got the equality, but you don't want to, like, lower your standards. You don't want to be the breadwinner. You don't want to have to work, but you wanted the equality. If that's the case, then you should be coming 50-50 towards a relationship, and that's not what they want. So a lot of these decent men aren't getting anything because they're not high earners.
I don't think a decent man is desperate enough to sleep with a stranger she doesn't know that he's sleeping with 99 other guys.
But it makes people desperate.
Well, then you're not a decent man. Then you're just trash.
I think it turns decent men into pieces of shit. That they can't find a relationship, so then they start sleeping around.
Because it's their fault.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's 100%.
It's the man's fault.
It's half their fault because they're not doing anything to go and find a better woman, and they decide to cave into their sex desires.
Because it's easier. Because I think majority of them have just become lazy. Whether it's because
and I wouldn't say
they're like they feel hopeless or whatever. It's like grab your fucking balls and do something.
I don't
Stop
think that
like sitting on your fucking ass and doing nothing. That's what I see a lot of these guys are like.
I don't
it's
think
like
they're all
poor
bad.
mean. It's like no, you can't fucking do the poor me thing. That's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah,
and it turns women off completely. Do the whole stoicism deal. Read a fucking Jordan Peterson book. I don't give a shit. But you're not going to get a decent woman. You're going to get a prostitute.
Oh, but these men weren't looking for a decent woman. They were looking to get their nut off.
Because
and that's my point.
Men, now, do you think it's because majority of men nowadays have less integrity and morality? They have less respect for themselves?
No.
And less respect for women?
I mean, yeah,
today?
they clearly have...
Or do you think it's always been that way?
They have less respect for themselves because they're putting themselves in these situations. But I still want to make my point of that I think a decent man could make a mistake in... like a lapse in judgment, and like you saw the clip of the one guy shaking with his water bottle. I think that was probably a decent man who was down on his fucking luck. Maybe he just got broken up with. He's like, this will make me feel better. Because he's a dumbass for thinking that.
But here's the thing.
But I think he could still be a good man.
But here's the thing. No.
Could be.
No. Here's the thing. You're literally using another person. This is you're not like,
but you can't put that on him because she put it out to be used.
Right.
She said, "I'm offering rides,
and I know,
sign up now."
I know that that's half her fault, but from his perspective, why isn't he seeing her as a human being? Why is he just seeing her as a fleshlight?
But that's the thing is, if a man is down on his luck and this is a true moment to have like a human interaction, because that's what it is still. To a lot of them, it's still a human interaction. Mm-hmm. And they are down on their luck. They're not feeling themselves. Their mental health, which is a big problem in America these days, is not the greatest. Mm-hmm. I can see a decent person, not a great person, a decent person, putting themselves in that situation and regretting it immediately after.
Right. But you think this was their first time doing something like this?
Yes. I think a lot of them, it was their first time. Because it wasn't like... It wasn't like she was getting porn stars or anything. She went on like a dating app, right? She just put it online.
I'm not sure.
She just put it online.
She put it online.
And then got responses. I think these were average Joes who didn't know what they were really signing up for. Some of them were probably slutty and did it and had a great time. But at the end of the day, she booked these men for 5-minute sessions.
Yeah, right, and I get that.
And so you can't.
I know what your point is.
She prostituted.
Yes, I get that. What I don't understand, like, I don't care if she's slept with like 5 million men and she put it out there. It's still a human being, and it's going to be put online for everyone to see.
Don't be mad that men dehumanized her when she dehumanized herself.
I know.
Because the second she put herself online doing porn,
and I can see it.
The second we put ourselves here doing this, we dehumanize ourselves because now we're behind a computer screen. And these people only know us for what they see us as, and we are dehumanized. But she did it to the extent where she put herself nude on the internet. And so she became an image. That's her image was sexualized. Sexual image. And that's the problem. You can't get mad at the bus driver for riding you around town if you didn't get off the bus.
The problem is it's not so black. It's not so black and white because men and women are different, and they've both been manipulated by social media, by porn, by the
modern
media.
feminism.
They've both been manipulated very easily. If you make your population stupid, you can manipulate them, and they've dumbed down kids, young people nowadays. They've made them dumber. They haven't held them to a higher standard. And they've shoved social media and porn in their face. And they're telling the men, sleep with as many women as you want and you'll be a high status dude. And if you don't, you're a loser. And with the women, they're saying, hey, if you want to be free, independent, and be your boss girl self, you could sleep around like guys do. You could do everything that a guy does. And you're going to be a strong, independent woman that women are going to look up to.
You're taking advantage of the men by doing that. You're taking advantage of the men by sleeping around. That's what they say.
And that sleeping around is
by doing the OnlyFans.
And they're telling women that sleeping around is also empowering because it's being like a man. And both
look at what happens.
Both sides that are hearing this message, both messages are bullshit. Both messages are intentionally trying to make the population immoral, horrible people who have no self-respect, no integrity, are only out for themselves, money, and to take advantage of people.
Yeah, and you can't go blaming just men, and you can't go blaming just women, because it's not as simple as that. Because at the end of the day, there's a woman who wanted to do this, which means there's more out there that want to do this. And there's 100 men who wanted to do this, so that means that there's probably 3,000 men easily that want to do this. And that's the scary thing. That's the sad thing. That's the culture that we've created for our kids, for everyone around you to fucking live in. Is a culture of have sex, it means nothing, even though you could fucking recreate. She had sex with 100 men in one day. Imagine she's not on birth control and one of the condoms broke, but you don't know which one. You now have 100 men that could potentially be the father to your child. You don't. This is not the way humans were meant to interact with each other. I understand that living in a more sexually free era means that you're gonna have more sex, but this is insane. This is to the nth degree.
Avoid the clap, Jimmy Dugan.
If you have sex, you will get pregnant and you will die.
Maybe that's what we should be teaching.
Don't have sex, because you will get pregnant and die.
Yeah.
Men, you will get pregnant and you will die.
She will get pregnant and you will die. Because yes. It works across the board.
You know what? I think this is why when I was a kid, I don't know about you, but my family scared the dickens out of me when it came to sex. Like,
the dickens! Because you're a lesbian.
For real.
Merry Christmas.
Do you have any other opinions you want to add?
My parents didn't scare the dickens out of me for having sex. They just gave me the realistic thing. Like, hey, your mom had whatever happened, and your sister was born before marriage, and so it's that happens. And I think you can have sexual freedom without taking it to the next degree. There's a moderate line here where you can be empowered And yes, you can.
But be responsible and safe.
Yes. And if you're a woman who happens to not want a serious relationship, yeah, you can kind of have some friends that you do some stuff with sometimes, as long as it's reasonable and understood and healthy and safe. Because this is not healthy and safe.
And not messy, like other people are involved or they have a girlfriend or a boyfriend.
Right. And like, if you're like Polly and you have a nice little like trifecta and that's your thing, fine. I'm not trying to fuck with it. I'm not saying don't do your thing, but like, don't go spreading this around like a plague. Like, don't go clapping in everyone's fucking yard. Like, you're going around town just. It's unsafe. It's unsanitary.
It's unsanitary.
It's very unsanitary. Also, I'm sorry, how many men are comfortable with their dicks being where someone else's dick just was?
I always wondered that.
I like get uncomfortable thinking about like, you know what I mean?
I know, guys. You got to answer that in the comments below. Please answer that question. Like,
and say it was just there. If it's like memory foam, the shape's embedded still.
we have questions.
Can you feel the outline? I'm so concerned.
We need to know. We just need to know.
Also, like, how can her poor vagina be after that?
In my last video, that's what I asked. Like, how is it doing? Is it okay? Does it need therapy?
Oh, yeah, she needs therapy. Her vagina lips can't stop.
Oh, God, the poor thing. But then again, she knew what she was getting into, or did she? Has she ever taken on such a feat?
I can't imagine even taking on 50 guys in a day.
Oh, my God.
100.
Did she go from, like, 10 to 100? Like, 10's going to be, if 10 was nothing, then 100 will be fine.
She probably had, like, a BBC gangbang for, like, fucking 5 dudes, and then she was like, I can do anything.
I could probably drink 10 coffees in a day. But 100, I'll be dead. For real.
I don't think sex works the same, but I hear you. Like,
as far as the impact on the body.
Well, yeah, but like sex isn't caffeine. Caffeine will kill you and stop your heart.
The cum, like, in her mouth and her eyes and her...
I don't think she guzzled it. Like, I don't think she was just like,
she said she didn't eat anything but whatever food she said and cum in the video.
Ew.
So, yeah, she could have had an overdose of sperm.
Her stomach gets pregnant from her stomach getting pregnant.
Oh. Okay, like and subscribe.
I'm sorry.